Welcome to Meet the Artist. Today we are going to be speaking with Bob Canepa.
Canepa.
Canepa. Canepa.
It's all right. No, I tell you what, it's been a lot worse than that.
Okay, Canepa. Gosh, that's way easy. Why did
Oh
how
no,
did I screw
yeah,
that
seldom does someone get it. I'm always shocked when they do.
up? All right, so Bob, you are a photographer, right? But you
Yes.
do large format photography.
Actually, I don't do large format. It's all digital that I'm doing, and I have been doing since 2004. I thought about large format for a while, but I just too many things going on, and I'm fine with the digital. I do use quality gear, and so it makes a difference, I think.
Right, yeah. What what got you into photography? I love this story. So,
Oh, okay.
tell me about how this all started.
Well, in 2004, about 3 years before I retired, I had a group of kids come up to me. I was teaching seventh grade mathematics, and they came up to me. It was the end of the year. We were doing a unit that I developed, and it was very easy going. All the testing was done, things like that. So they had a little flexibility. So they came up to me, a group of about 6 or 7, and said, "Hey, would you take our photo, our group photo?" And I said, "Well, of course, I'd love to, but I don't have a camera." And I think probably only one of them said this, but I heard it from all of them, thank goodness. And they said, "Well, get one." That candid nature of a seventh grade student was just exactly what I needed. So I got a camera, and I think I paid $100 for it, and it was worth probably $3.
And was it a digital camera
It
then?
was, it
Okay.
was, but there was this learning curve of, okay, I took a photo, now what am I going to do with it? And so that became more learning about computers and more software and cameras and printing, and so it's been a journey. It's been a journey.
Yeah, because there's a lot of technical
There is.
stuff involved with digital photography, especially if you are mastering the image, right? If you are
Right, right. If you're going to do something like with the dune images I take, um, if you're going to do something with it afterwards and make it fine art, then it involves from the inception, even the planning, you're thinking through all those pieces. And when I'm photographing, I can't say I always see in black and white, but I'm getting closer and closer. So I still know what I have, even though it's in color. And there's more information when you record an image in color anyway. And then there's the post-processing, there's the printing, there's adjusting it for social media versus printing. And so when you get to the end of that, sometimes if you haven't really thought through the steps you're taking, you get to a spot where there's something wrong within the image. And fortunately, keeping the original, I could just start over. But it is a process, and it's taken me a long time. I'd say probably the last 10 years working with the dunes, not exclusively because I photograph everything, but that has that has taken some time and some effort. I don't consider myself a fast learner, so it's just getting involved and doing that. And since I retired in 2007, I've had the time to do that, and that's quite a gift.
Yeah, it really, yeah, time all by itself
Right.
is a huge um, gift. I'm so curious now when you're talking about the photographing when you don't. So when you're taking a picture, so let's say when you're out in the dunes, I imagine that like maybe the picture you take is big and then you edit it or you
I like. Go ahead.
crop it to like the spot.
I can. But with the gear I take and the number of times I've been out there, I don't think it's exaggerating to say maybe 100 times. I try to get it right in camera.
Okay.
Most photographers who've been around a while will try to get it right in camera. But I do shoot with a very large megapixel camera, 50 megapixels, so I have that flexibility.
Okay.
And it does make a difference because if I see something I want a piece of, I can take it and still blow it up. You know, you saw some things in there that were, 40 by 60, 30 by 60. And so if I'm going to sell those or show those, I want to be able to replicate them, duplicate them. And so having that amount of data makes it fun. But yeah, you're right. When you get out there, you may see something in the distance, but you also want something wide here. So with a telephoto lens, you have those kinds of options.
Yeah. So I think that's super great. So to be able to have like that wide of
Right.
options, right? So having that many options is, I think makes that medium,
Yes.
like so flexible too,
It
right?
does for me, and with the dunes, when I do this exhibition at the Wiley Museum in Solvang, little plug. When I do that,
Note of that.
when I do that, I lost my thought here.
Little plug.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you can cut any part of that. But anyway, when I do that, I want to make sure that people understand what and why I'm doing. So the image itself is obvious. As Ansel Adams said, he would tell the people, I want you to see what I feel. And so I thought about that. How do I express to somebody what I feel, since we don't have that same experience on the dune with me walking you through it? And what I've decided is very much like, actually, I'll do this with you. Think back to your childhood memories. You don't have to share any, but think back to something that was just, it's vivid. You loved it. You were there in that moment, and you reminisce about it, and you bring that back, and it's right there. Well, every time I go to the dunes, I have that experience, no matter when. So I know if I were out there now, I would get quality images. And so that's like something, I have goosebumps.
Yeah.
It's in my pocket, where if I need that creativity, if I need that extra pump, I can go out there, and every time I can count on it. And I've never had that with anything else. I have moments, and photographers will say, yeah, I understand I'm in the moment. But to be able to continuously go out there and still be fired up. Somebody asked me the other day.
Fascinated.
Yeah, somebody asked me the other day if it was, if the dunes were the same all the time or they changed, and I said yes. It's like they have the bone structure, but they move slightly. So the dunes in general are in the same place, but there's little nuances, and it's just so exciting to me.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping to do enough to have people begin to look at it and say, hey, we need to preserve these dunes completely. I would hate to see them go. That would break my heart.
Right.
So far, it looks pretty good that they'll be there and untouched, especially the place I go. There's no recreational vehicles, and that's still changing anyway.
Right. Yeah, I know there were. So which part of the dunes do you go to?
I go to the Oceano Dunes, and there's a trailer court that you park outside, and you walk up this I don't know, I guess drive for about a quarter mile, and you're right at the dunes. You walk in, and it's the same place where for a long time Edward Weston, great black and white photographer, used to live, and he'd go out to the dunes. I mean, walk out in the morning, and his significant others said that he would stand there sometimes for a half hour longer because he didn't want any footprints in the sand when he turned.
Right.
And that's why I usually only go out Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursdays. And I love it after the wind and so forth. Yeah, it does. It makes a lot of sense.
Right.
So I often take people out there. I'll take another fellow out next Thursday, a client, and show them, and then I'll do a workshop after the exhibit.
How would people find out about a workshop that you're offering?
Well, if they were to just contact me, because I like really small groups, so that people, are not intimidated by somebody else who has all the questions. So they can contact me at just at my URL or a website, or actually the best way is just to email me.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's on the cards. I'll give you some cards. I didn't remember if I gave you one before, but I'll give you more. Anyway, it's just, I believe in this, and I believe that people can do similar things, and probably I'm looking at some young talent who can do amazing things. They'll surpass me with no doubt, but
that's exciting though.
It is.
Even as an artist, right? Like to know that I can share with you my gifts. Now, and as a teacher, the whole intention
Yes.
is for the student to be better
Yes.
than the teacher.
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So I have this little thing here, but maybe you're going to get it at a point in your life that I didn't have it yet. So
Right.
you're going to, like get a little leg up, so to speak. But the
True.
goal of the teacher is to always
Always.
have the
Always.
students surpass them.
Always.
Yeah.
And I think the thing is, I don't care what someone does, if they're passionate about it, it always feeds my soul.
Absolutely.
So you're doing these videos, you're obviously passionate about that. I saw that at the gallery, and that's a good thing. I mean, a lot of people don't have passion. They don't find something or change because of some other work situation they have. And I think they would be so much happier and better off if they could find something. It doesn't have to be photography, but go find something to be passionate about and then explore it, share it.
Dive deep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I feel like some people I know that are like in general they're a passionate person,
Uh-huh.
but there's no one thing that pulls them,
Yeah.
right? So as an artist, like it's just the creating part that pulls me. Like I just want to create. I just want to put my hands in something. I just want to,
Yeah.
and
That's important for you to share that. I don't care who
Yeah.
you are and what you do. Share that piece, and then whoever receives that needs to share their thoughts and dignify what you're doing, and then I think that just keeps unfolding.
I agree.
I
Yeah,
just
and
I
it
just
keeps
had one of my
growing.
past students who's a landscape. He was a DACA student, or a DACA young man, and he thought he was going to be sent back to Mexico a number of years ago, and he didn't, and he's now a landscaper and does landscaping up and down the coast. And he hired me about a month and a half ago.
To
So I do is,
photograph
yeah,
his work.
I'll
That's
photograph too.
awesome.
Isn't that nice?
Yes, that's
yeah,
awesome.
Yeah, so I'm really
Oh,
happy.
I love that.
Yes, he's
And then you can be like in that you get to be so proud of him too,
exactly,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
That's what it's about. In fact, I hope to talk to him Tuesday when I do one of the sites, to maybe see if I can possibly get him into the schools to talk to other Hispanic students who can feel displaced,
Yeah.
and or just kids with diverse backgrounds that don't get some of the same opportunities, even though they're maybe in a public setting or something
Right.
like that.
Well, and sometimes even if the opportunities are there and available, maybe they don't have awareness that
Right.
it's there and available for them.
Right.
Right. Like there's a mindset that kind of says that's not for me.
Right. And the other thing too is me, even though I think I'm passionate and sensitive and encouraging, it's a lot different coming from a kid who was almost sent out of the country for whatever reasons, who's made it and is working hard. He has 35 employees. He goes from here to
And
Clovis
he's
to
a peer to them.
yeah,
He's a peer.
exactly.
Yeah, that makes a huge difference.
So yeah, so I don't know, he's a little more shy than that. So I'm sure he'll say, Mr. Canepa, just leave me
Please
alone.
don't.
Exactly.
Please don't make me. But you know what? You'd probably be surprised that when he's sharing what he's passionate about, it comes easy.
Yeah, it
know what I
does,
mean?
because he's knowledgeable. He's done it,
Yeah.
as opposed to just reading it out of a book.
And it's easy. He's passionate about it. He loves what he does. He's worked hard. He has a story to tell.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so when you get somebody talking,
Right. Yeah.
like it's easy.
Well, and when the kids look at him, you get by the first 10 minutes where they're just rolling their eyes and things, and then you see the connection, and that's what you hone in on. It just comes alive, and you become that teacher that you never, ever imagined you might be able to do something like that.
Right.
So yeah, I'm particularly proud of him.
Yeah. And so you really love teaching too.
I loved it. Yeah, I did it for 31 years. I've photographed several of my students' weddings, their families, families. Now that I've been retired so long, yeah, it's just always been part of something I wanted to share. And the other part is, teaching sometimes can be looked at as something very, very formal, where there's a list of things you need to check off, sort of. And I think by having the passion and sharing the passion, you can become that teacher without all those trappings that somebody in a formal education might have to go through.
Were you passionate about math? Is that why you chose?
I
Or just
chose
happened to be
math.
good at that?
You know what? Math my whole life has been something that was easier for me. Not always easy, but easier. And I felt I could demystify it for kids. And well, for anybody that I taught, because I taught adults for a while too. But I think, yeah, you have to use math all the time. You don't get a choice.
Right.
Just you're planning to get here, your gas, never mind. Sorry.
Yeah.
But I mean, all of those pieces,
Right,
you're
yeah.
constantly using it. So if it takes you longer to learn something, in fact, I would say this at a conference to the parent, I'd say, what's your point? And usually there was a shocked look on their face, and I'd say, I can't fix the issue, but I can help you with strategies such that you realize if you need to spend an hour and a half in math and another kid is spending 20 minutes,
Right.
you're going to let it beat you up for how many years to come?
Right.
Yeah, so no, I think empowering and demystifying is absolutely critical with anything that someone teaches.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Well, you have to be able to put it in layman's terms, right? You have to be able to take that subject
Yes.
and make it real. Like,
Well, think of
so
your
that
own.
they own
Think
it.
of your own education.
Oh,
If I
yeah.
ask you to think of a teacher or so forth, usually those ones who demystify it and make the personal connection with you.
Right.
I think that has to be the first thing.
I agree.
But that makes a difference, and it opens up a whole new world where you kind of move beyond the Mr. Canepa, where it's many times Bob now, and we're on that
that's a lovely
plane.
transition.
Oh, it
isn't
is.
it?
It is. It's been sweet. Some still can't do it, and that's okay. Whatever they feel comfortable with. But yeah, I'm just blessed to be still part of their lives and keep in touch with them.
So, do you feel like the photography came along right at the right time?
Absolutely. 2 years before I retired, I still was going to classes and things sometimes on weekends, but it did not dominate what I did. It was always about school. I would be at school usually by 5:30 in the morning, and check things like Humes and just make sure that I knew everything about every kid I possibly could. And then my first students would usually come in around 6:30 in the morning, and some who didn't want to be on the grounds would come in, and so I never would have cut back on that in the slightest to do the photography. But when it ended, and I recommend this to people who are retiring, 5 years before you retire, start doing those things you're going to do.
Oh, yeah.
So you make the
just keep your
transition.
hand in 'em.
Yeah, especially men, because they will talk about golfing and things and not a lot of other things because they haven't had time. And then when you go to retire, that's a new job. You don't know that thing. And so you need to give yourself time to make that adjustment and figure it out without pressures of, all those things you want to do for the other people. You got to figure out who you are and then do whatever you need to do.
So I
Good.
think that that's wise. I think that it's good advice for anybody,
Yeah.
right? I think that even in our normal life, even if you're not anywhere near retirement, like there should always be something that you're playing with.
I think so. I
Right?
think
It
so,
doesn't
yeah.
have to be serious, and it doesn't have to be big. It just needs to be something other than what you do.
Well,
every day.
and you use the operative word, and that's play. We tend to look at that lightly and say, play. Well, wait a minute. As a child, when you played, how happy were you? And I think people really need to connect with being alone and playing. So, especially with photography and creativity, is that you developed whatever you need. You saw whatever you needed, and so you could be anywhere at any time and revisit that over and over again. And that's the way the dunes are for me. It's like, here I have this concrete thing that I can go do over and over while I'm still doing. I did a car show last Saturday, and so I can still do all those things. So my plate's too full.
Is it?
Yeah, and that's kind of the other thing. When you retire, you tend not to do any of those negative things that you had to do. You have to do things like taxes. I guess some people love taxes, but taxes and so forth.
Right.
And so when you cut that out, if you're doing great things all day, the day goes by like that, and the month goes by, and the
Right.
year goes by, and it's a good thing, but it's also kind of a sad thing.
Yeah, because feel like you can
Yeah.
be in the moments for very long, right? Like
Right.
the moments go by so fast.
They do,
But there's
but
a
it's
lot of
all.
great moments.
It is absolutely. I wouldn't
Yeah.
have it any other way. But boy, time sails. I mean, it's hard for me to believe 15 years ago I retired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
I can imagine. Because I feel like time flies right now,
Yes.
and so when you said that, I'm imagining my granddaughter at 17, right? 15 years from now, she'll be 17. I'll be saying that same thing. It's
Yes.
like, what in the world,
Yeah. Yeah.
And, yeah, and I think, though, that's where it becomes super important to be in the moment, right?
Yes.
Like,
I was
when
just
you're
going to go there.
in
Yeah.
the dunes, right? You are fully there, experiencing all that it is bringing you,
Right.
and then
It's
when
just-
you're with your kids or your grandkids,
Right.
like,
Exactly.
I'm 100% here.
Exactly. If I can't be here today with you, then I needed to tell you, look, I'm sorry. Next time you're here, we'll do this or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's the kids taught me so much, just so much about watching facial expressions. In fact, I could tell you almost to a one when they walked through that door how their morning went, what was on it. Why try to teach them math if they're just crushed about something?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think if you can't be there in the moment, just tell somebody and try to get in touch with that so you know it sooner than later. If you start feeling all those things that are piling up, if you have interview after interview and say, oh God, we've gone so long with Bob, I can't make that one, then, do what it takes for you to keep your sanity.
Yeah, I agree.
Because we all see it when we're all stressed.
Right. Well, and other people see it too, right? Like that's like other people see it too, and then that's no fun for them either.
Right.
So
Exactly.
it's so much better to be in it, be feeling it, because everything else is gonna come, right? Like
Right.
that next thing, that thing on your list that you're worried about right now.
It's going to be there
like
today.
it's,
Yeah.
Right. It's gonna be there in 20 minutes. It's gonna be there tomorrow morning. Like it's not going anywhere.
Right.
So you might as well be here.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think
I think
it's
art
really
though
important.
makes you do it.
I think it does. I think, fortunately for us, we can, Kath will be painting in the garage or drawing or doing something, and I'll be in the room, and the dogs will come and go, and we'll walk them and whatever. But I have that time period to be totally focused, and there's no problem with, if I want to go to the dunes now, I can go do that.
Right.
Kath's fine with it. And when we've been together and I'm out photographing, she is so good. She'll point out something and say, well, is that a good photo or whatever? So we share that, and then we look at each other's work, and knowing one another and the work over the years she's been drawing since she was drawing and painting since she was about 3,
Wow.
but to share that and realize that there's constructive criticism that will help. And the other part is, if something's not working for me and I ask her, even if I don't want to declare it to myself, I already know it's not working.
Yeah.
So it's just I'm so blessed to be able to do that. So
Yeah, it's good to have a partner to bounce things
Yeah,
off of.
yeah.
And even be in the moment with you.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
that's
Like when I got home
important, too.
today, I mean, we know where every one of those are going to go now, and I came home with 5 of them, plus what I pulled out of there, plus a couple more that I had, and then the rest that I'll get done, probably another 15, will just be delivered from the printer to the museum, so I don't have to bring them home. But this is not 1,350 square feet is not a lot of wall space.
Right.
And so, but I came home and she says, okay, let's do this. So we talked and we got them placed. Probably tomorrow I'll put them up. But yeah, that's really nice to be able to share that when that is not my expertise at all.
Right.
So yeah, I'm a blessed man, just so much fun. I mean, life is fun. You coming over outside of the worry about, the dogs driving us crazy, but
Yeah, I don't even sweat it, man. I love dogs, and
yeah, but you're still
Yeah.
trying to do this, and
Yeah, I don't care.
that's why they have the collars on, because they will bark about being excited or want out.
Right.
And I thought that's the last thing you need is dogs barking in the background.
well, that's probably true, right? That would be disruptive, and mostly just to editing,
Yeah,
right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, that
Oh,
would
yeah.
be. I'd be all
smooth is fine, right?
right.
Not going to feel very comfortable if there's some stumbling block along the way. So I think, just what you do, having experienced it once before, just, That's what it is. And so, and I think that's a good idea too, that if people see those interviews, and they check them out, then they realize, well, Keisha's okay. I think this will be all right. And I mean, I know some of the artists from years and years, Dan, for example, and I know the way they talk, interview, teach, help. And so if they're comfortable and other people know them, that transition just makes it that much easier. And I think you do that well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I really have been enjoying it.
Good.
I find it fascinating, and I really am enjoying getting to know artists in a deeper way.
Yeah.
Right. On a more personal way, and I love hearing.
That's great to have all the insight of all these individuals.
It's so interesting where everybody comes from, right? And how, some people, like your wife, been doing it her whole life. This is like her normal, blah, blah, blah. And then some people end up in it and just start,
right.
Like I did Dolores.
Uh-huh.
And her story is just that, right? She's like, I always knew I wanted to watercolor, but she didn't until she retired.
Yeah.
Right? And then she's like in it, taking classes.
Yeah.
She's learning all there is. She goes, I'm not the doodler. Like, I'm not the artist. And that is fascinating too. So there's so many different aspects to how you get where you get.
Well, to be able to be a learner and then be an active producer of art. I still think in the classroom that one period a day, especially for junior high kids, one period a day should be where they can be on the internet and search out jobs they'd like to do. Obviously, it has to be watched. And so that if today I thought, I want to be a videographer. So I'm checking that out and I'm thinking, I don't really like being with people that much. Maybe I don't want to do that. So the next 3 days I decide I want to, maybe be in the ballet. Well, come Friday, just share that. You don't have to write it up. So that other kids can hear and say, wow, I don't want to do the ballet thing, but a videographer, that sounds kind of neat. And so it dignifies them as a learner. That's what you get in retirement. You get to be the learner and you get to be the producer, for lack of another word. You get to be the one who creates and inventive. That's what an opportunity.
What an opportunity.
So see, that's where whatever your dad decides to do, or you decide to do.
It makes me excited for him.
Yes, it does.
It makes me excited for him. Like, there's the door's wide open. Like, what do you
exactly,
want to do?
and that's part of it. Help him with that because it's scary.
Yeah.
If you don't have those things 5 years before, you get there and you open the door and say, which one do I choose? It's like asking a high school kid, what are they going to do in life?
Yeah.
Give them a break. There's
Right.
so much out there. Be thinking of things. Don't shut any door. But
Right.
But
But it'd be open to exploring. Like, look
Exactly,
at everything. Like, you don't have
exactly.
to decide right now, right? But
Right.
be open to things.
Right.
Be open to stuff.
right.
Yeah. I was not that kid, right? I knew what I wanted to do from a very, very early
Few.
age. Very few. As I didn't know. I didn't know that was a problem.
Uh-huh.
Because for me, I always knew, I knew I wanted to do hair. I was always an artist. I always drew. I always did stuff. So for me, I knew what I wanted to do. But I had my salon designed when I was 13. I had the building picked out downtown.
Oh,
where
nice.
I wanted like this, and I'm like, here it all is. I drew it all out. I had it all
sweet.
planned. Like, I knew what I wanted to do, but I had no idea. So there was a huge disconnect with a lot of people I knew, my friends, right, who were kind of wanderers.
Right.
They're like, and I'm like, what? I don't understand that.
Right.
Like, I've always had a pool, right? I've always had a pool. That thing in me that says this is the path.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't realize how lucky
Yeah.
I was.
Well, and as long as when you get on that road, it is the road that you at least want to travel for a while.
Right.
And then don't lock
Absolutely.
yourself into saying, okay, this is what I have to do. And then it becomes a burden and,
Well, it
you hate
opened up
work.
a million doors I never knew I wanted.
Uh-huh.
Right? So it opened doors up like, I am a teacher, right? I am an educator. I teach other hairdressers, like, the thing that I love.
Yeah.
Okay, shut up. Right? I'm like, that's a thing?
Yeah.
I can do that? Really?
Yeah.
Okay, sign me up for that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because, oh my gosh, like, there's nothing better than sharing, teaching, what you love.
Well, you're passing your enthusiasm,
Yeah.
and yeah,
And then seeing
and
the aha moments.
right. Instead of just, oh, guy, why do I have to learn this math? I hate school. Well, think more of about learning and find things you learn and then explore them and become maybe not an expert, but play with them. Play
Yeah.
with them.
Yeah. So yeah, so it opened up doors I just never knew. I could compete. I could like there were so many things, and I was like, okay, this is really up my alley. Like all
Wow.
this stuff is really up
That's
my alley.
wonderful.
So I've always feel really, really lucky.
And there are kids out there who absolutely are in that exact same spot.
Yeah.
Not a lot, but there's a few.
Right.
But it's interesting for you to tell that story. And so the kids who get it in the same place you are, that's fine. But other kids realizing that not that's a few who get that.
Right.
So what are the rest of you going to do and how are you going to do it?
Right.
So yeah, it's exciting.
And I'm a trier, right? I'm a trier. Like try it. I don't know. So when my daughter was young, right, she didn't have that thing,
Uh-huh.
right? And I'm like, damn, I don't know what to do with this.
Yeah.
Right? And so I'm like, so I'm putting her in all kinds of things, right? We're gonna do dance, and we're gonna do this, and we're gonna do that, and we're gonna try all this stuff, just trying to find that thing that pulls you,
Uh-huh.
right? And I don't really care what it is.
Right.
You need a pull,
Yeah.
right? And so some kids it is dance or gymnastics
Right.
or art or acting or singing or whatever,
Right,
and I
right.
don't really care what it is, because I feel like it gives clearer direction. So even if it's not where you land,
Right.
it's not about where you land, right? It's kind of the path that gets you there, right?
And the other part is, as a young person, it's something you own. It's not me telling you to study or mom and dad saying, have you done your homework yet? What is that thing that pulls you? And so it may be something you can only do on a Saturday morning or, whatever that is. But just pursue something so you get that
Yeah.
idea of what learning can be. And then just pursue it.
Yeah. Well, and then what you find out is that there's a lot of other things that come along with
Right.
that you didn't think about.
Right.
And then there's more opportunity than you ever thought possible.
Right.
you
Don't
know?
close those doors on your
Yeah.
trip.
Yeah, exactly. So I find it, so I would always consider myself very lucky. It also helps that I'm easy to talk to teach, right?
Mhm.
Like, that people want to listen
Right.
to me. And so I can, and I think I'm a good communicator. So I feel like I'm well spoken and I can communicate my thoughts well, and I think that's helpful too.
Well, and feeling comfortable coming to somebody's home as opposed to for me, that's perfect not doing it or having not done it in the gallery, but do it here. It's just, it's another thing that makes me comfortable. Somebody might not, but I love my yard and
Yeah,
photograph out here almost every day.
Not a doubt. Well, I was like, okay, like Bob's my kind of guy. I'm a huge plant person.
Oh.
I'm a master gardener.
I
So-
remember you saying
Yeah,
that.
so I am like, this,
Yeah.
this.
Well, I was wondering today when I was inside moving those around, I thought, maybe she'd like to go outside. And I thought, oh, no, it'll be too windy. And, that's sometimes with the vehicles passing, it can,
Oh, yeah.
you'll hear them,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But the other part of that is it's just this nice little breeze that's here today.
Right.
And, I could spend time here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's why I was like, no, I think I want to go outside, if it's possible.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that the wind cooperated with us today.
It did. This must have how it
That's
should have
right. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously.
been. Yeah, no, perfect.
Didn't do right. We wouldn't have definitely got this there.
Yeah, yeah,
Right?
yeah,
So, yeah.
yeah. There's just the other part is this. This is a nice piece that's about Kath and I, well, and the dogs, but it's about us here, which contributes to our ability to create fine art.
Yeah. Well, I think that having the right environment,
Oh, absolutely.
right?
Everything except for those cypress trees, including the grass by hand, I've planted every single thing. So so it's just
Yeah, I have. Well, and all of them are like made. Like the oak tree was, there before.
Oh, right.
And like the lemon tree, the oak tree, the camellia bush, and then some other random bush. Otherwise, everything else
Yeah.
I put there, right? And I love that. That's why I was like, you're the little, what do you call it? Dichotomous?
Oh,
Dang it! It's all right. I wrote it down. Doesn't matter. Anyways,
Diamondia.
I'm fascinated with the way that it looks. That it's so flat to the ground, and I have an area of my yard that is, well, it's 100% shade all year long, and it's just dirt because nothing grows there except in the winter when moss grows there.
Oh, right.
But we're also super hot, so
Right.
even though it doesn't get any direct sun,
Yeah,
it
make
also
sure you
can't
make
do
sure you read
temperature.
about it, but it's done. It's done well. It's harder back here because it gets sun all day back here.
Right.
Till it hits the
Yeah, so I
ash.
was like, oh, that would, and it would look really nice there.
Yeah.
And it would.
And I need to cut some pieces out where stones are.
Oh, yeah.
But still, it's pretty rugged because,
Does it spread well?
it takes time.
Okay.
At least in this environment, it takes
okay.
time. And I'll water it more in the summer, but basically in the winter, it's always growing. So it's always healthy, so I don't think about it a lot.
Right.
It's just when you get that heat or the wind, which dries everything out, that.
Right, yeah.
That it's just, you got to be cognizant about
Yeah.
that. It's like trees. Do I water them every 2 weeks? Which tree? Which fruit trees? Those kinds of things. But
I do, and ours is, like we get really hot.
yes, you
and
do.
I had some seedlings still that I have yet to move into my garden, and I was like, I'm gonna be gone this weekend. It's gonna be 90 degrees. Flooded them.
Oh yeah.
I
Yeah.
just flooded them. I'm like, I don't care. I know that I'm not supposed to do this, but they're far enough along.
Right.
But I'm like, but you're going to be dry as a bone by the time I get back Sunday.
Exactly,
So,
yeah.
And I took them out of the sun, out of the direct sun.
Yeah,
'Cause I'm
exactly.
like, oh,
I know it is a worry.
It's and it's a risk, and I know that it's a risk. I know that they may not be there when I get back, and fortunately I have other seeds, whatever.
Right,
But,
right.
That's not the point. I've been nurturing these stupid little guys for a while now.
Well, and the other thing, when you plant something, I look at a 5-year growth period.
Yeah.
So 5 years from now, we'll see about it. In the meantime,
Right.
let's give it a year and a half to start building that root structure, and then you begin to see growth. And sometimes it's rapid, sometimes it's slow.
Right.
All right, where am I going?
Yeah. Well, my favorite, I have a curly willow, and curly willows grow super easy, like ridiculously easy and big, quick, right? But they live by a river, so they are high water,
Yeah.
right? And so I got sticks from a wedding. Right? Because they use it as decoration, but literally, stick it in water, it'll root, it becomes a tree.
Wow.
Like it's that freaking easy.
Wow.
It's amazing, right? It just
Wow.
makes me want to just grow them. So I have 2 in 2 pots, and I'm like, I have to be very mindful about where I put them because they do require more water than most, and they're gonna get big
Yeah.
fast. So I'm like, so if they're in their pot, they're contained. Right?
It's
They're
tough
not
when you
gonna-
fall in love with a plant like the Japanese maples.
Right, exactly.
I can't have enough of them.
Right.
So.
Right, and they're really hard in Bakersfield. These
Oh,
are really hard. I mean, they grow really great in full shade. In
Right,
Bakersfield.
right. These guys get a little
Yeah.
ugly in late July, August,
Right.
But, especially the ones in the pots, the ones in the ground are
Are better.
fine. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
so
But anyway, it's nice to share. Thank you.
appreciate you.
My pleasure.
Yes. Awesome.